You finally got your Airtable data linked together, but now you're staring at a blank page wondering, how do I see the information that I care about? In this video, I'm going to be breaking down for you two key fields, the lookup field and the rollup field. But we are doing this as simply as possible. This video is about new Airtable users, non-techies. We are going to break it down step by step so that you, as a beginner, can learn how to master these two fields. So if you're ready to take your Airtable database to the next level, stick around and let's get into it. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Gareth and this is Gap Consulting. It's my mission here to help you unlock the full potential of Airtable and the related no-code software tools. And in this video, we're going to be breaking down the lookup field and the rollup field, two of the most important fields for you to start building with in your Airtable journey. Now, before we get into the heart of the video, I first want to invite you to join me for my Airtable Crash Course. This is a free course that we deliver to your email inbox over several days so that you can learn all the key features of Airtable in bite-sized chunks, step by step. Go ahead and sign up for that crash course at gapconsulting.io/airtable-crash-course. But without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into the heart of the video, the lookup field versus the rollup field. And I want to start with some analogies. The lookup field is a window. It allows you to reach through your data and view things that are a layer or beyond deep. Now that might sound a little difficult if you haven't worked in a database before, but trust me, we're going to break it down one step at a time. Now, on the other hand, we have the rollup field, and this is like a window, but it's more powerful. I like to refer to it as the calculator. So imagine you're looking through, but you're doing some sort of analysis on this data that you're trying to bring back in. That's where you want to call in the calculator. The window versus the calculator, or the lookup versus the rollup, that's the only thing you need to think about when you are building in your Airtable databases. Now let's jump into an actual live example. Now what I have on my screen here is a very simple database. We're going to click through it first to understand how it works and what we have set up. You'll notice that there isn't a lot of data to start, and that's intentional. We don't want to overwhelm. We're going to go step by step. First, we have our clients. You see here that we have one client, Acme, and there are two different projects linked to this client, and we have a phone number for the client. Next, we can go over to projects. Here we have the two different projects that we're working on, and these are connected to the client. This is already an established linked relationship. This is critical anytime you're using a lookup or a rollup field. We have to have a linked relationship or more in our database for these fields to be valuable to us. And then we have our projects that link to invoices. So let's flip over to invoices now, our third table. And here we have an invoice ID. So we've got the number. We have projects. This is where we're connecting the invoice to a project. Then we have a type field. This is a single select where we're basically showing what type of invoice this is. And you can see in our example, we have deposits, we have installments, and then we have a final installment. Then we have the amount on each invoice, and we have a status of the invoice. It's either paid, it's invoiced, meaning we sent it out, but we haven't received it back yet, or it's just drafted, in which case it's just a draft. We haven't actually submitted the invoice for payment, so it's not overdue. Okay, now that we have an understanding of how our data breaks down, let's jump into the first one, our lookup field, or if you're sticking with our earlier analogy, the window. So in our clients table, we have a phone number. But let's imagine that your project managers, they're working on data and they need to know at the project level, what is the phone number for this client? Imagine that we assigned this project, the website rebuild, to project manager number 1, and we assigned our marketing design project to a different project manager number 2. Well, how would they know the client contact information? If the PM needs to reach out to the client, we should probably bring that information into the projects table. And this is where the window is going to come into play. So what we can do is add a new field here, and it is the lookup field, our window field, and we're going to say client phone number. Now, here's a key takeaway for you. If you're used to Excel or spreadsheet thinking, you probably have come up against a VLOOKUP once or twice in your Excel days. This can act similarly, but this is where we're going to take it another layer deeper. We don't need to do anything fancy here. For us, the lookup is going to find information that already exists in our database. So first we have to configure it. Where does the information live? The stuff that we're looking for contact information, phone number for the client. So you'll see here that we see the linked fields in our current table. So we're building this lookup in the projects table, and the projects table connects to two other tables. It links to the clients and it links to the invoices. Now for us, obviously the phone number lives in the client data layer. So let's select client here. Once we've made that choice, now we get another option, another dropdown, and we're asked to map to the field that we want to look up. So in the case here, obviously we want the phone number, but these fields are all of the fields that we can bring in from the client's table. So we select phone number. You do have some more advanced settings down here, which I'll get to in a moment. But let's just keep it simple for the first example. We create. What does it do? Well, it gives us this new phone number field. It's the same information that exists on the client's page. This fake phone number that I've inserted here, we're looking it up. And so it knows, well, I'm linked to this client. I know what that client's phone number is, so I'm going to bring it in here. All we're doing is taking information that lives one place and showing it, making it visible at another layer. Pretty straightforward so far. Let's now jump into a first simple example of the rollup field. So this time we're going to use the invoices, and we don't need a window per se, we need a calculator. Because on our invoices, we need to know how much have we actually, created in invoices for each project. So I can go to the invoice table, and I can see, well, I've grouped by this project here, and I've got 1,000 and then 2 invoices for 2,500, so the sum is 6,000. But if I need this in my projects table, because I need my project managers who have these different projects assigned to them, I need them to know the total value of the project, well, I better bring it in there. But it's not as simple as doing a lookup, because if we did a lookup, it's going to bring in 3 separate values. First, I'm going to start with a lookup so you see what it doesn't do correctly. So if I built this as a lookup field, and I wanted to look at those invoice totals, I would choose the invoice, and then I would choose the amount. And when I click create, what it's going to do is actually show me all of the different values that it looked up. So if you remember, for the website rebuild, we had 1,000 and then an extra 2,500 and another 2,500. This isn't doing anything in terms of giving me a total or an average or anything like that. No calculation has been done here. It's just bringing in the information. It's the window. I don't need a window here. I need a calculator. So let's change this to a rollup field. I want to do some actual math to those different invoice values. So I choose invoices, and now I choose the amount again. And here's where this little aggregation formula, this is where I get to tell Airtable what to do to the numbers it finds. And by default, I'm getting the sum values output. That's exactly what I want. I'll click over to the formatting, make sure that it's going to show us in currency, and we are ready to go. So we can save this up, and there we go. Now we have a total for the different projects, 6,000 and 12,000 respectively. So now you've learned 90% of what there is to know about lookups versus rollups. If you need to see the information, it's a lookup. If you need to do some sort of calculation, it's a rollup. But let's take it just a little bit deeper for those slightly more advanced use cases. Now, first I want to show you that you can use multiple of these in a chain. So you'll notice that we have 3 different tables, and that's not a coincidence. this is no accident because I've already brought information in from my invoice to the project level. But can I do it again? You bet I can. If I want to take this project information and know what the lifetime value of each client is, I can do it here. This client, Acme, has worked on or is working on 2 different projects with us. So let's bring that information in so that we know what is the total lifetime value or LTV of this particular client. Now I'm looking at my projects and I can look at the rollup field that I already created. We didn't name it very well. We should have called it total amount from invoices or total amount for projects, but this is the field that we created. And I can do it again. I can roll up a rollup so long as I have multiple linked tables in a chain. And here I have clients that links to projects, which then links to invoices. So I've brought my invoice totals into my projects, and I've now brought my project totals into my clients table. So I can see at a client's level, how much has this client spent with us in terms of projects? I've got a project for 12 and a project for 6, which is how we get the 18,000 at the client rollup. Now, if we want to go just a little bit deeper, there are the more advanced features within the lookup and within the rollup field. And this is my second more advanced little hack for you. It's a great way for you to build even more intelligent rollups and lookups. So let's, instead of looking at our projects here where we summed all of the invoices, let's take this another level and create a different rollup that shows us only our paid invoices. So now, just as before, we looked at our invoices, and then we chose a field, and we chose the amount field, and then we summed it. Well, in this case, we only want to do a summation if that particular invoice has been marked paid. So we can say that we want to include records that meet conditions. By toggling this on, now we have to establish what our conditions are. And our condition is that the status is paid. We only want to count the money that we've received, not the money that we have out there. So now we have established a condition. We can also sort records. So before we summarize them, if we want to put them in a particular order, we can toggle this on for another advanced feature. Now, this doesn't really have any bearing if we're doing a summation, because if you're summing things, it doesn't matter the order of the items that you're summing. But if you were outputting text, for example, it might matter. And so in that case, you might want to rearrange the order before you output the calculation. So here we're going to go with our status of paid. And when I create this field, you're going to see that the number here is very different from the other amount because, of course, not all of the invoices are paid. So we're only counting the 2 invoices here that have been paid and then the 1 invoice here that has been paid. So here's our 3,500 and our 2,000 respectively. And we can, of course, take this another layer deeper back to our clients. So we can then say, hey, this is the total amount that the client has actually paid, and then compare it to the total amount that we will invoice the client for. Now, not only are these advanced filters and conditions available for rollups, but they're available in our lookup fields as well. So here's where we had the lookup field for the phone number, and we can include certain conditions here. We can also, for lookups, sort the records just as we can for the rollups, and we can also limit the number of items shown. So if you want to, for example, only show the most recently added of a particular linked relationship, you can do that by limiting the number of items, by sorting the records, and of course also by setting up conditions to only include certain records. So that's everything there is to know about the lookup and the rollup fields, the window, or the calculator. And I think you'll agree after this video that these fields are incredibly powerful to you as you're building your Airtable solutions because they give you the capability of bringing in exactly the information that you want as it has linked throughout your database. And in my opinion, these are far easier to master than the VLOOKUP or XLOOKUP or the index match that you might be used to using in Excel. So once you have started using the lookup and rollup fields in Airtable, I think that you will soon be in agreement with me that this is a faster and easier way to get the data you're looking for. I hope you got a ton of value from this video. If you did, be sure to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so that you get more content like this. Of course, if you have questions that I didn't answer here, swing by our website because we have put a ton of resources together for you there. Most importantly though, keep on building.